my husband now.
Did you physically cause Shanann's disappearance?
No.
And he's been the best thing, besides my children, that has ever happened to me.
The babies are gone. And I put my hands around my wife's neck.
I couldn't have asked God for a better man in my life.
Is Shanann here because she couldn't, could you not lift her all the way up there, or?
He's sexy, he's good looking.
So Nicole Kessinger comes out and says, yes, I was having an affair with him, but I didn't realize that this marriage was still intact.
He had me in his life because he was so infatuated with what we had going on. Why would you wipe out your family to be with me?
And he does take care of our girls.
Are you 100% positive that Bella and Celeste are in these tanks? How did you get them in the tanks?
It's like he's probably the best father I could have asked for my children.
The evil monster who dare you take the lives of my daughters Shannon, Bella, Celeste, and Nico. I trusted you to take care of them, not kill them.
I think that the efforts that he made in those early morning hours to rid himself of his family and their remains in the manner he did was indicative of his belief that he was going to get away with it. Shanann arrived home at 1:45 in the morning from the airport. The doorbell camera on her the front of her house documented her coming home after being dropped off by a friend. We know that at about 5:25 in the morning is when the defendant then backs his truck up into the driveway. That's captured by the doorbell camera on the neighbor's house. And over the course of about the next 5 to 7 minutes, the defendant is seen making 3 different trips inside his home and appearing to carry something out. You can't tell exactly what it is. Placing something in the back of his truck, and he drives out of the driveway about 5:40 in the morning. The suspicions were fairly early on. The suspicions that police had as it related to the defendant were when they arrived, the house was locked up from the inside.
They have the thing flipped up here.
Oh, what about the garage door?
There was no way for anyone to get out of that house and, for example, lock the door from the outside based on the type of locks that were on that house. The only way that somebody could have gotten in or out of that house based on the type of locks would have been through the garage door. So law enforcement had to wait for him to arrive back at the house from work in order to be able to access the home and do the searches that they were needing to do.
Scott, how you doing? How's it going? So this is the only vehicle she would have? She would drive? Okay.
There was nothing in the home when investigators walked through right away that was a clear sign of any kind of foul play or any kind of violence. It was a very clean home. It was a very organized home. There were some bed sheets that were missing, but otherwise there was no sign of a struggle or foul play of any kind.
Sometimes the blankies get put in there.
Okay.
But that's the one she usually uses, the butterfly one.
This one? Okay. Did you touch it today?
Chris Watts is present at his neighbor's house while the neighbor is showing surveillance footage to police. And we actually witnessed this through the cops' body cam. And it is extraordinary because we have had so much commentary about the fact that Chris Watts never, ever showed emotion. Well, wait until you see this. As he's watching surveillance tape of himself backing his truck into his own driveway, he looks like he's sweating. You can almost feel it. He's pacing. He's practically muttering about what he's doing. Too much explanation. He sincerely looks like a deer in the headlights. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is not grief. This is abject panic that he's feeling because for the first time, he's seeing himself load up materials into his truck, which we now know are his family members. And then after it's over and police release him from watching this tape, he hightails it out of his neighbor's house. The neighbor looks at the police officer and says he's not acting right. Something is very off about his behavior.
I want to go talk to him. I'm going to get his info real quick.
Then that neighbor proceeds to tell police that over the last few weeks, he had been yelling at the top of his lungs at his wife, and perhaps that's why she went away for 6 weeks, just to get away from it all.
To be completely honest with you, my wife and I were kind of wondering what she was on vacation if something happened, because I've heard them a lot screaming at each other at the top of their lungs. It's crazy.
Really? That's pretty recently.
I learned that he was not a very good liar. From the interviews that he did on the front porch of his house, I learned that he didn't lie very well. He was inconsistent in the stories that he told. He was completely emotionless. Nothing rang true about the statements that he was making. He did not respond in any way, shape, or form in the same way that a father whose 2 daughters and wife just went missing would.
I mean, right now I don't even want to just like throw anything out there. Like, I hope that she's somewhere safe right now and with the kids. But I mean, could she just taken off? I don't know. But if somebody has her and they're not safe, like, I want them back now. Like that's what's in my head. Like, if they're safe right now, they're gonna come back. But if they're not safe right now, that's the not knowing part. Like, if they're not safe, last night I had every light in the house on. I was hoping that I would just ran over by the kids running in the door, just like barrel rushing.
Originally, the cops didn't take him into custody. They kept interviewing him as a person of interest rather than a true suspect. Had been allowed to go home that night. Agreed to come back and take a polygraph with a polygrapher from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation.
Chris is being interrogated by the FBI, and he insists that he would never do anything to harm his beautiful wife and his beautiful children.
You have to trust me that when I tell you that these 2 beautiful girls right here, I did nothing to them, and to my beautiful wife, I did nothing to her. Like, you have to trust me and believe me. Like, I know you don't know me as a person. You've known me for like 2.5, 3 hours, and I don't know what your opinion is, but you have to realize that these 2 beautiful girls right here and my wife, I had nothing to do with the disappearance.
While Chris is being interviewed by the FBI, he insists he would never cheat on Shanann, that they had an agreement that if either one of them wanted to go stray, be with someone else, that they would tell each other. Chris continues on, and he insists to the FBI agent that he has simply fallen out of love with Shanann, at which point the FBI agent says, "I think that is a load of horse manure."
I really couldn't, I can't tell you, like, the passion, I didn't feel it in my heart anymore. Like, I really can't, like, just give you a definitive answer other than that. Just like my heart wasn't in it. I gotta tell you, that sounds like a load of work. I know.
We know that he had gone down to Denver International Airport, picked up his father, and then went directly to the police department to have that polygraph done.
It makes me feel like, all right, maybe somebody has her that's not keeping her safe. Or something terrible has happened. And that's the nightmare.
And what was it? What would it be?
And somebody hurt them.
That's running through your mind sometimes?
I don't want that to run through my mind, but it's running through my mind that somebody has hurt them. And that they are not safe. I really want them to be safe. I want them to come home.
Believe me, if you had nothing to do with this, I will be able to show them that today. Okay? So that should give you some confidence that, if you felt like you're going to be cleared today if you had nothing to do with it, okay? There's actually only, nervousness or anxiety cannot cause you to fail a polygraph. A lot of people think that too, that if they're really nervous that it could cause them to fail. If that were the case, no one would be allowed to take polygraphs because every single person is nervous or anxious about taking the polygraph, okay?
I thought that's how it worked.
On nervousness? No. There's actually only 2 ways you can fail a polygraph, okay? The first way would be if you fail to follow my instructions. I'm going to give you a lot of instructions today about how to sit still, how to answer questions, things like that. So if you fail to follow those instructions, you will not pass today's test, okay? The second way would be if you choose to lie to me today, okay? Obviously, this is about 100% truth. Even if there's, something that you didn't tell the investigators, since Monday, I guess, is when you and the police were involved. if there's something that you didn't tell them since Monday, like, that is totally fine. Like, I get it. You know, people aren't going to remember every single detail every time they talk to someone. As long as you tell me what the truth is today, you will have no problem passing, okay? I promise you that. And obviously, I mean, I hope that, you know, if you did have something to do with their disappearance, it would be really stupid for you to come in and take a polygraph today, right? Like, it would be really dumb. Like, you should not be here right now sitting in this chair if you had anything to do with Shanann and the little girl's disappearance, okay?
You did great. You remembered the lie and everything. That was awesome. So, you obviously are a really bad liar. Have people told you that before? Like, the second you tell a lie, like, they can tell, like, on your face that... Because the second you lied to the number 3, like, I don't know if you heard me clicking, but I had to, like, turn down the sensitivity because you were starting to go off the page. So, that is what I need to see as a polygrapher, because that tells me that you know it's wrong to tell a lie. And you're actually having a significant reaction when you lie. So, that is awesome. So, thank you for being a horrible liar. No, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We don't want to be good liars, so thank you for being a horrible liar. And that just shows me that, you know, obviously on the test when we're asking, you know, significant stuff about your wife, if you're lying to that, it's going to be even 10 times more amplified. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much.
They did a pre-polygraph interview with him, and then did a polygraph on whether he had any responsibility or knowledge of the disappearance of Shanann, and he failed.
Do you know where Shanann is now?
No.
Did you physically cause Shanann's disappearance?
No.
Only then did they go back in, re-interview him based upon that failure, confronted him with that failure, and he began to make incriminating statements.
Can you understand that some of this just doesn't make sense to us? How is it possible that a woman and 2 kids are just completely gone off the face of the earth?
I have nothing on my hands that I did nothing to those kids or her to make them vanish.
The right man, what it looks like is that you found a new life, and the only way to get that new life was to get rid of your old life. And I think that you killed these girls before their mom came home, and then killed Shanann. And that's what we're kind of left, that's what we have to believe, because it just doesn't make sense. I mean, to her point, if I walked in and my kid was decapitated, I'd call an ambulance, right? So,
knowing there's no hope.
It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't add up. So, either you're this monster who says, I just want this young, hot girlfriend, so I'm going to kill everyone and hope it works out, or something. So, I think we're very, very close to the truth, but not quite there yet.
During the course of the interview with investigators after he was confronted with the failure on the polygraph, he claimed that he saw Shanann strangling Celeste. His claim was that he immediately ran into that room and, quote, did to her what she did to the girls, meaning he strangled her.
Polygraph. That reacted to this. Just too much emotion. They're not gonna let me go. There's any reason why I shouldn't. They know I had an affair.
arrest, once he's at the Weld County Jail, my understanding was his demeanor was fairly flat, a flat affect. They kept a close eye on him to make sure that he wouldn't be a danger to himself or others.
I mean, the more I think about it, I think a lot of people are going to probably assume that I was the catalyst for his movement, but I don't think, not me, instructing him, but him deciding to do that because he had me in his life and because he was so, infatuated with what we had going on. But, I try to put the reason to it at the end, why would you wipe out your family to be with me?
Once I started looking for car insurance,